Welcome back. Creating a safe and healthy community to prevent underage substance use. That's the mission of South Portland's SoPo Unite program.
Joining us now is Leanne Dodge, the program's director. Leanne, thanks for coming on the show today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So South Portland is one of the first school districts in the country to start using restorative practices instead of the traditional consequences like suspension. Can you explain what it is and why it's been made such a big difference?
Yes, so in the past, if someone was caught using substances or had paraphernalia on them, they would get suspended out of school for 7 to 10 days of school, which is also known as 2 weeks of not being in school. And also, we also changed our athletic code, which I'll talk about too. And back in the day, you would get kicked off the team 14 days, the second time 10 weeks as an athlete. So what we found was, when we talk to anybody, if you suspend someone from school who's using substances or has it, what do you think they're doing for that time that they're not here? And we had a chief of the police at the time who said, you know, when kids are suspended, they're not at home, they're out and about. And just thinking about that wasn't working. And so students, what are they doing to that time? And when they come back to school, there was no re-entry like, what did you learn from this or what have you? Instead it was like, get back to class. And now they've missed all those academic hours and et cetera. So really thinking about instead now what we use is restorative practice where, and sometimes people think, oh, that you just say you're sorry and you're all set. But instead, what happens is if you get caught, we do call your parents. There's a wellness check with the nurses to make sure you're okay. We call your parents, come and get you, the child, but you come back the very next day. And then you're assessed by our social workers. Is it just this first time, like someone just handed me, you know, or have you been using since COVID and you can't stop? And so that kind of determines what interventions maybe a social worker might offer for a student. We also have an in-school restorative coordinator, so you spend just one day in his classroom and you answer the restorative questions like, what were you thinking at the time? Who did you harm? What were you think, you know, what are you going to do differently going forward? What kind of support do you need? And this has been significant in students not falling behind academically. Our athletic code, you're not kicked off the team. It used to be like, do not even step on this field. Now you can still go to practice and meetings. You can't play in games for 10 days, but you're still part of the team. In some schools, you can get in trouble once as an athlete, second time you're banned from sports all 4 years. And so just on the side, I used to teach the class for folks who got arrested for operating under the influence. I taught the under 21 program, and many of them had been kicked off of sports teams, suspended or expelled from school for substance use. And you think, what if we got to them sooner? Mm-hmm. So that now they have an OUI, and you know, so that's been really good as prevention and intervention in our work, and that students' brains are best for learning from 13 to 20. So anything they learned during that time sticks. I had an aunt who was 95, still painted and played piano at 95. So that's the good news. But 90% of addiction starts before 18. Mm. So that again is kind of like, this is a critical time to get on this while we have access to young people.
Yeah, I love the idea of treating each case uniquely because every case is different, every student is different, and so why would you treat every single one with this just, you know, standard practice?
Right.
What has the response been in the community to these changes?
Yeah, so really positive, and it took, we work with 12 sectors of the community, so we work with parents, law enforcement, the media, other agencies, so everyone helped create this policy, all those sectors, and it has improved relationships, as you imagine, with parents. Mm-hmm. From going, come get your kid, good luck to you, to be part of this with us. And parents have been really appreciative, like they might have known their kid was struggling. And now they've got support to help with their kid. We have a program called My Life, My Quit, which helps with quitting vaping. One of our social workers trained in that. So that's helped with parents, teachers. So here you have teachers who in the beginning might have gone like, maybe he's just tired, because if I say something, this kid's out of my class for like 7 to 10 days. Now you're only gone a day and I can, as a teacher, come bring you your homework and you're not going to fall behind.
Is this something you're seeing at other schools in the state, or did you get this from another school in Maine, or
Yes. So there was only one other school that used this for substance use, and it was out in California. So we adopted and created this program in athletic code, and now it has spread to many other states. And I brought this guidebook. This is in a national guidebook, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services, about community engagement and changing policy. Also, coaches and youth. I mean, you think of the impact it's had on youth. And when we worked on this policy, it's not a fun one to now take accountability for your actions. So it's accountability and support. And so when we first started, our students said, I think we'd rather be suspended. You're like, what? Because, you know, to have to own it and take responsibility is not that fun. So our students also our athletes met with coaches, and they said, you know, when you kick someone off a team, they don't come back. And that there's a lot of secrecy on a sports team if someone's using, because you don't want to get the person in trouble. It's one of your best players. So now we have a voluntary part of the code where you can come forward before even getting caught and saying, I need some help. It's also really helped with our law enforcement using the similar approaches, restorative practice, and it's spread to other agencies like the Boys and Girls Club use our code and policy, so does our teen center, so that it's, you know, throughout the community, that same approach. Like, we want to help you, not, it's a privilege to be an athlete, you know, no, you're a young person and you probably need some help to reroute. And so our youth are really helpful in this whole process as well.
Sounds like a huge team effort, you know, within the community.
Oh, yeah.
What message do you have for parents, you know, just any advice for them, and where can they learn more about this?
Yeah, so we have a website, SoPo Unite, and I work for the city, but my office is in the high school, which has been really awesome. We're in our 9th year of federal funding. And for parents to know there is support in the community. There are people in your school. We have a school-based health center from Greater Portland Health right in our high school and our middle school with social workers, doctors in our school. So know to reach out for help, and that we only have students here for such a short amount of time, and like, let's all work together to help really delay use, not never, but not now, kind of a thought, you know, that really this brain time is significant. And if we could help get support for students who need it, or again, prevent someone from starting during this time, would be awesome. And people will ask me, what are you doing about the opioid crisis? And you say, people don't typically start with opioids. They start with alcohol, nicotine, cannabis, and at 90% before 18. So what if we got on that sooner and did this in a helpful way?
Yeah, great information, great program. Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it, Leanne.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing.